Once again for dropping by the channel. If you like the content, if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe, share the video if you enjoyed it, if you felt it was useful. I also have an Instagram page, link is in the description. Now let's get into this. So, Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury, the trilogy. Shirley Finkel, Deontay Wilder's manager, he's announced that he thinks anyway that it looks like that Deontay Wilder is going to invoke that rematch clause and that we are going to see the trilogy, which will probably be this summer. Now, when I read that, because I read it on Twitter, and what I would do is I might put a screenshot of it on the video because my phone's dead, so I can't read it verbatim. But he's basically said words to the effect of Deontay Wilder, quote unquote, wants the rematch. I don't know about that, but they want to do the rematch. Now, the only thing I'm thinking about that is that whether Wilder wants the rematch or not, I think it's irrelevant, because Wilder will always say that he makes the decisions. He doesn't. It's Shirley Finkel and Al Heyman. They're the people who make the decisions, and from my point of view, they don't have Wilder's best interest in heart. They have their own best interest in heart. They want to make as much money off Deontay Wilder as they can. They want to ideally get the WBC title back, but I think at this stage they're just trying to cash out on Deontay Wilder. What I mean by that is Deontay Wilder, as we know, not the biggest draw in the world. You know, these Fury fights have helped raise his profile, definitely in the States, but that's largely down to Tyson Fury giving him the hand. You know, it was Fury who sold the first fight, largely sold this one as well. If it wasn't for Fury, and as well as if it wasn't for Lou DiBella as well, I should say, he wouldn't be making the money he's been making now. And when I say Lou DiBella, because it was Lou DiBella who got him that offer for the Zone for the 120 mil, which he, inexplicably turned down, which I'm sure he's regretting doing now in the wake of everything that's gone on. But the reason why I think Shirley Finkel and Al Heyman would want him to take this rematch is, let's say Deontay Wilder wants to have 2 or 3 comeback fights. Al Heyman, PBC, they're going to take a hit on those shows. I'll tell you why. Because you could have Wilder come back against, Charles Martin, maybe fight Adam Kalnacki, maybe fight, Andy Ruiz if he feels brave enough. He could have them 3 fights, maybe not Andy Ruiz, but he could have them kind of 2 or 3 comeback fights, right? He'll get decent amount of money because he's being paid a decent amount of money, but those shows won't be pay-per-view. They'll almost certainly take a loss on them in terms of the profit they make, because it'll be on standard Showtime, standard Fox. Wilder will be probably getting, in the millions, and his name, his market value is going to take a big hit in the wake of this Fury fight, because it wasn't like he went 12 rounds of Fury, lost a close decision, put Fury down. No, he was beaten from pillar to post for 7 rounds. It wasn't competitive, not even remotely. So Wilder's market value, marquee name, it's going to take a hit. It's going to take a hit, and he'll still want those big paydays, So I'd assume Al Heyman, maybe they won't, but I'd assume that they would be inclined to give him, X amount of money for fighting 1 or 2 comeback fights. They're going to take a loss on those shows. They're going to take a hit, and there's no guarantee Wilder will look good in them fights either. We don't know how he's going to come back from this loss. Whereas if they will go pull the trigger on the Fury rematch, it might not do good numbers because it was so one-sided, but they're still guaranteeing themselves a decent chunk of money. It's going to be 60-40 in Fury's favour. If he wins, happy days. If he loses, hell, they've made more money cashing Deontay Wilder out than they would have, putting him in 2 gimme fights and losing money on them shows. So I think from Al Heyman, from Shirley Finkel's point of view, they just want to cash Deontay Wilder out at this stage. I think that loss, and look, Deontay Wilder, he's not the sharpest tool in the box. If Deontay Wilder had some sense, he doesn't. If he had some sense, he'd get rid of Shirley Finkel. He'd get rid of Al Heyman. He'd get rid of guys in his corner like JD, who was, saying in the post-fight press conference that they didn't want to throw the towel in. They couldn't understand why Mark Breland threw the towel in. I think I said in a video I done about Deontay Wilder, Mark Breland, former world champion, right? Bit punchy, bit in wars, has had beatings. He knows what it feels like. He knows what happens when a fighter takes a beating like that. They ain't gonna do much more than take a sustained beating for a couple more rounds. So he had his fighter's best interest. He threw in the towel, and I applaud Mark Breland for that. And the fact that there are people in Team Wilder who can't see the forest through the trees, couldn't see that their guy was taking a beating and they needed to save him for another day, really shows the kind of people who Wilder has in his team. It really does. And Shirley Finkel, he's thinking of himself. He's thinking of his own pockets. He's known for that. He's messed around with Shannon Briggs in the past. I think there was another fighter he messed around with. And when I say messed around with, I mean like in terms of money and stuff like that. So if this rematch does happen, you'd make Fury firm favourite. It probably won't do the same gate or the same numbers. We don't have the pay-per-view numbers obviously, but it probably won't do anything close to what this fight has done. It just purely because it was such a one-sided beating that people would just think, you know, Fury's going to win again. He probably will. But for me, it looks like if this rematch happens, and Wilder might say, you know, he wants the rematch, whatever, I think it is. We know it's down to Al Haymon and Shirley Finkel what happens next. We pretty much know that, right? And if they decide to go pull the trigger on the rematch, to me it's a cash out. They see having him take another shellacking off Fury, get a nice haul of money. I think he got like 25 mil or something like this for this fight, you know, altogether. That's more money than they'd make putting on 2 comeback fights and losing money. You know, it's a lot more money. So from their point of view, they're just thinking of their pockets. That's what I think it is, what it looks like. And if the rematch happens, that's what I think is going to happen. So, and I don't see Wilder winning the rematch. Not a hope. Not a hope. I think Wilder's going to be damaged. He's going to be damaged goods after this fight. You know, and I like Deontay Wilder. I've always said I like him as a fighter. As a fighter in the ring, watching him, fun to watch. But outside the ring, boy, holy shit, this guy. There are people in Ireland, and I say people from that kind of county are not the sharpest tools in the box. It's like counties down the south of Ireland, like Tipperary and places like that. You know, that's kind of what the kind of crop Wilder comes from. The Alabama guys, they're not bright, and you know, that is what that is. So, you know, those are my thoughts on this. Let me know what you think down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, of course, if you are new. Keeping the ripped jeans. I need to get rid of this goddamn beard. I've had a rough week this week, so I haven't been, you know, motivated to shave. So I need to get rid of it because I hate it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, of course, if you are new. And as always, I will talk to you after.